All right, great. Thanks, Nathan. Very informative, and sounds like it was a very useful exercise that you did. So it's good to know that that is an option and a good way to be prepared for case. Hopefully it never happens, but if there ever is an emergency like that. So please type in the questions. We will take the questions and do the Q&A session at the end. And at this point, want to bring up our next speaker, Todd Smith with the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission. He's been with the Turnpike for nearly 20 years, supporting the Traffic Operations Center. Todd is a level 3 Waze editor and a Google level 5 local guide. So that's impressive. Todd began his career with the Emergency Management 911 Center in central Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining us, Todd, and I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Glad to be here this afternoon representing the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission. Sharing a little bit about what mainly our Traffic Operations Center uses crowdsourced data for. It's mainly comes from Waze at this point. You can go ahead and move to the next slide, please. It's not the only place we get that information from. We do get some information from our state's 511 system. Users of that system can submit emails or phone calls. That usually goes to PennDOT's statewide traffic management center. We will then in turn usually get an email or phone call. It's usually in reference to debris on the roadway or something of that nature, which we can dispatch our folks to take care of. We also get miscellaneous reports to our Traffic Operations Center's Twitter account as well. We've had reports of stuff going on the roadway that they've been able to dispatch folks out to immediately. But the main source we get feeds from, as Nathan mentioned, the data sharing with Waze. We've been a partner with them for a long time. We were the 11th partner to join the program quite a long time ago. That is a two-way feed, fortunately, with them. We share information to them, they share it back. We'd like to be able to do that as well with Google, Apple, if possible, but we currently share our feed to them. They ingest our data into Google and Apple, but we don't get anything back from them at this point. So it's basically one way. Show there in our slide was kind of an eerie picture there. If you could go back just for 1 second, please. I was just making a point that I had to get that picture in there. That was from early 2020 when our operations center sort of went silent. We had to separate our day shift and night shift teams from each other, and that was the first time that that center was empty. You normally don't see nobody sitting in those seats there, but it's kind of an eerie moment due to COVID. We separated folks to make them a little safer and make sure we had sufficient staff. Next slide, please. The Waze incident reporting. Everything comes through the little button on the app when folks indicate something's going on out along the roadway. They come in. We do have a Waze dashboard. We ingest the API from Waze. It gets all different kinds of reports there, whether it's a car on the shoulder, car on the roadway, construction. We can see all those reports populating that dashboard. It also gives us a chance to see that the 3 factors that are assigned to every Waze report or incident that goes in there, they use the kind of the points incentive. If you've used the Waze app to get folks to use it, you get so many points if it's a vehicle on the shoulder, if you report gas prices, etc. But if you're someone in there as part of the points game, you're putting fake incidents in there, your reliability is going to be lower over time. So you may not make our list here. Got to be at least a reliability of 5, combined with the rating and confidence, thumbs up, thumbs down, everything of that nature plays into those rankings. So we can filter those out and see a little more information as to what's going on with the reports coming in. Next slide, please. What we've been using as the most part in our Traffic Operations Center As far as Waze reports, what you see on the screen there is a little snippet from our ATMS system, Advanced Traffic Management System we have and we use. We can see that alert is on the upper right-hand portion of that screen of the Waze report. It includes what roadway it's on and the milepost. And then our supervisors in the operations center can hit the little locate button there, and it will zoom in to show what's on the map there. It shows where it's populating at the milepost. And as you're seeing on this image here, that's the Google map layer showing Google traffic, which shows them that there's a good chance something is going on there. A lot of these do come in before we will get the emergency call from our star 11 line or from a county 911 center. The average is basically 4 minutes ahead of those calls. We have seen as high as 11 minutes in some rural areas to actual incidents. Some of those times you don't see anything wrong in the traffic layer because they're less populated areas. But they can compare that to the Google layer or the INRIX layer. Most of the TOC folks prefer the Google layer. They believe that to be a little more reliable and accurate. So they can go ahead then and promote this incident to light up a DMS for stopped or slow traffic ahead for folks out on the roadway. And we can also populate our CAD system. Currently, that's manual. Next slide, please. So if they promote that to the CAD system, then we can dispatch state police, one of our maintenance units, Geico Safety Patrol. They can go out and check out what's going on out there. If there's something going on, or maybe it's nothing. Sometimes it's a disabled vehicle. But we do something with those alerts and get help out minutes sooner. It helps us clear the roadway a little more quickly out there sometimes. And as to future things we'd like to do within our ATMS system, based on the last screen you saw, we're currently requesting that those alerts always go to the top of the screen. They look a little different, maybe. They stand out, and audible alerting, that's within our ATMS system. But and as far as our future CAD that we're looking forward to, we look forward to direct Waze integration into that system as well. So the dispatchers in our operations center can have those alerts come in, and we can generate those incidents automatically without that having to be a manual process. Next slide, please. Basically, we're showing you what happens with the feeds that come in to our operations center. Now we'll switch gears here into the API that gets generated by our ATMS system in the traffic operations center. So any construction, we keep track of all the road work on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, all 564 miles of it now. Sure, it's not as many as some of the state DOTs, but these APIs that go out for the road work or for the incidents that occur on the Turnpike, they populate in 511. They go out to the state 511 system. They're in there. They go out, of course, to the Waze live map and, of course, to every Waze user that's out there. I showed a snippet there, Google Maps. Those alerts are going out to Google Maps as well. And I did check Apple. I don't have that screenshot in there, but it was indicated in there too. John Parker has done a lot for our agency to get that stuff accomplished, get it out there to more than just one app. So our information's out there to be a little more accurate across whatever platform you're using out there. Get a hold of some more folks out there on the roadway. Next slide. Our Waze closures may be done a little bit differently than some other agencies. As a partner with Waze, we do have different avenues to use as far as closures go. Our closures are currently entered by TOC staff or management or supervisors in there. We do it directly in the Waze map editor. We go in there, and once we enter those closures, if it's an unplanned incident occurs right now, we can go in there, close down a segment of roadway. If you're navigating with Waze, if you're using Waze, you better be navigating. Don't just be turning it on and looking at what's on the screen. Make sure you put your destination in there, or else you're not getting bang for your buck, even though it's free. You'll get rerouted immediately. I know sometimes that's difficult, especially on our roadway, if you're actually on the system already. As long as there's an exit prior to the closure, you're in good shape. But sometimes that can be a little more frustrating when you get stuck in a queue out there along the roadway. Most of the closures that we enter directly into WME, we found they will have an end time over in Google Maps. As part of what goes in to the Waze map editor, when you have to enter a expiration time for the closure, and Google seems to be ingesting that end time, and they will actually put the closure in until then. And it's a little bit of source of frustration sometimes when our closures come out before that end time. That closure may remain in Google Maps. We've been trying to work on that. John Parker's been working on that for us. We do have an email contact with Google now to address some of those situations, but those things do happen. Another part of the closure scenario is our pre-planned closures. And, we enter those. You like to enter them at least a week prior to the actual closure. You put them in the Waze map editor. And then, as Nathan mentioned earlier, Waze has what's considered an event map. You can actually go in and see what events are across your state, if there's road closures coming up or something of that nature. But we enter those events as well. You associate the closure with the event, and Waze will send you an email, usually within a few hours after you enter it, if you enter it enough days in advance. And it will send out push notifications to users of the app. Next screen, please. And it's a little snippet from the Waze map editor on the left. Depending on your zoom level in the Waze map editor, it'll show you different events that are either ready to go or pending. We enter them through there. If you get done well enough in advance of the closure, you see there, I showed a little snippet from an email. You get the email from Waze saying, thanks for submitting that traffic event. And they're going to alert folks, within a certain time before the closure. Next slide, please. Those push notifications, as long as you have the push notifications selected in Waze, if you like being bugged, no matter what it is, and you're really into Waze, you'll get that push notification to your lock screen. That's the first image there. You can also then click on that and you'll see information specifically on the road closure. If you are attempting to travel through the area, this scenario on the right here, I attempted to travel through an area like leaving a couple hours in advance of the closure, but Waze was still letting you know you were going to run into delays due to a closure that was coming up there. And they put those out, I believe it's 3 different ways, no pun intended there. If you've traveled through that section of roadway within, I think it's the last 60 or 90 days, you will get that alert. They also use a radius for that, and if you attempt to navigate through it. Next slide. Other benefits that we've had as far as using the Waze map editor and being involved with the editing community over at Waze is long-term construction zones. Having quite a few on the Turnpike, but we can go in there and we have the editing community that will reduce that speed limit from 70 down to 55. That way, when users are using the app and traveling through there, they will get that alert that the speed limit is reduced, assisting our folks out along the roadway, help keeping them a little more safe. We currently have a service plaza that they're replacing the fuel tanks. We can actually go into the Waze map editor and we put that plaza out of service. So no one tries to navigate there. We can update amenities if we have new electric vehicle charging stations, etc. Plazas change names, businesses at the plazas change names. We can go in and change that immediately. Immediate navigation via new segments of roadway. I'll give props to Waze there. I have seen no other app be close to them as far as navigation is concerned. We did it years ago for the Interstate 95 connector there. And most recently, our new section of PA 576. We go in and have that mapped correctly. The exit numbers are right, speed limits are right. And the day the section of roadway opens, our supervisors or management staff goes in and removes the closures. If you're navigating, you can go right through that, be navigated right through that section of roadway. And as well, there are navigation issues that get reported. If you've used the Waze app, you can go in there and report problems with your travel, etc. You could say the speed limit isn't right, or new ramp segments sometimes get, updated and something may be missed. But we can actually go in and monitor what those users out on the roadway are saying in these reports, or if one of the other editors in the state is responding to a user report on our roadway, they can reach out to us via channel and ask us what's going on there, if we know of anything going on, and just helps resolve any issues more quickly. Next slide, please. I was asked to speak a little bit about the volunteer time, since I had to include it in my short bio here at the beginning. But aside from using it as part of the Turnpike Commission, this sort of got me involved in a little volunteer time use of being a Waze editor. I mentioned earlier, James mentioned I was a level 3 editor. You start out as a level 1 editor if you just start using the app, and you can basically edit within a mile radius of where you drive. And when you become level 2, it's 2 miles. And level 3 is 3 miles. Edit meaning businesses change, new roadways get placed into a new development, stuff like that. It may not be on the map. You get the opportunity to go in and help name those, or place a business out of service. A lot of businesses, unfortunately, have gone out of business here in the last couple of years. You can go in and update that so people don't try to navigate there. I spent a lot of time doing that stuff, because you see things that are wrong in the app. You say, geez, they got to fix this. Well, I say this, and with my knowledge of the backside, it was like, well, I can go in and do this. So I've done it on my spare time. And Nathan was talking about earlier, the crisis response. I put a little snippet in there from our Discord server that the volunteers at the Waze editing community use. When they have a natural disaster or emergency situation, as they do in North Carolina, sometimes in the South due to hurricanes, editors can go in, on your volunteer time and assist with closures. They basically, they'll put a spreadsheet of all the roadways or locations of the segments that are closed, and it's up to us to go in and close it. They open up an area of the map for specific people. If you signed up to help, you'll go in there and you'll have access to a Google Doc, and you can update that you closed that roadway and so forth. That's how these things get done. It's a lot. You get a lot of reports, other things like that through there. I think I did include that. Oh, I didn't. I did include the little slide, but as Nathan was mentioned, I had a little snip from if you go into the app and you attempt to navigate into an evacuation zone, you do actually have a little clip of that, because I tried that one time, and it does pop up a thing. Are you sure you want to go? This is an evacuation area. We recommend you don't travel here. But and same with Google Maps. They don't have everything right. If you ever use the Waze app and you're searching for a destination, if you're using the instant response that pops up as you type, that's all being provided by Google. Unfortunately, Google's addresses aren't always right. No point. People navigate clicking one of those quick responses. They go there and the location is not correct. Of course, Waze gets blamed, but it's really coming from Google. So it's part of the editing community. You get to go over there and you get to correct Google on what they have wrong too. So I've done that quite a few times, and it just helps out. It all helps people navigating, but that's what I do a little bit on some free time. That basically wraps up what I had to share with you for today. Next slide and last slide.
Great, thanks, Todd. Great presentation, and like the like the meme there. So great example of an agency getting more directly involved in engaging with navigation providers, with Waze as the TOC operators and managers becoming Waze map editors themselves. So that's definitely one avenue to consider if you want to get more deeply involved with a two-way communication with a navigation provider like Waze.